That was interesting because I came back and said I'm going to end with this is, and I could hear myself, and then that's what I heard at the beginning of this one. It let me start. Here, listen, Dr. Phil. And we're definitely not playing Dr. Phil because that would definitely be a streaming violation. My guess is Wizard Liz probably made all of their stuff copywritten on YouTube so that people were probably talking about this a lot and using her content a lot, and it was probably made that way in the last little bit as a P. I don't know, no idea. No idea if it would have been that way if we had streamed it 2 weeks ago when this wasn't happening. No idea. But my guess is that is because that's what we were streaming was her content from October 16th. We're gonna watch Ali. Watch Ali. Is that right? If we get off Ali, then the universe doesn't like it. I'm even kidding. But we are going to watch her take of Wizard Liz to go with the one that was terminated. That I will. Honestly, I don't like. It wasn't. What is my? That it just went really glitchy. I've had copyright violations before, and I can't stream for 7 days. Like there's consequences, and it wouldn't be up still, and it is up still. So I'm going to. I think it just did what it did. It just stopped me from showing it. Here is actually is this Ali's? I mean, it is Ali, but back to top.
She could have avoided.
She could have avoided. We will watch that one first. Here is the one she made on me, right? 16,000 sitting there that she paid for. She got this one to over 250,000, almost 500,000 actually, views. This one's at 51,000. Ali's hot take on this person's, pregnancy and how she just shouldn't ever have met the man. And sadly, that was like the whole point of watching the video was to hear how she met the man because the universe did put them together. I don't even. She was on some layover because she changed her plans. He was somehow magically in Athens in the airport, and they met up. And again, it could be that he was stalking her, and you know what I mean? I will link the previous video in the description, which links those videos, and we'll have to watch them on our own time. But this one, the universe wants us to watch together.
She could have avoided being cheated on by never dating Landon in the first place. Liz and Landon should have never been together. And if she talks about being this high-value woman and walking away when a man disrespects you, she should have walked away when he started.
I'm trying to find the previous live. When it ended, the first thing that came on was Prince's 7, which is the thing that got cut out of the last video, so it wouldn't be blocked in some areas because that one is not. Even the little clip that I gave, it was less than 10 seconds, was a violation live. I will link the first 40 minutes of this stream in the description.
Like love bombing her within the first 5 seconds of meeting her. Like when he said, "I'm gonna marry you" within 72 hours, she should have walked the other way and said, "Oh wow, I'm dealing with an immature man who doesn't even have enough respect for me to get to know me." Like when you are being loved, you have to understand that is fucking disrespect. It's not cute. This is what older women are trying to tell younger women on this app. In my 20s, I thought it was so romantic if a guy fell in love with me right away. It's actually the opposite. That should show you that you're dealing with a man who has zero emotional maturity.
I'm nearly certain older generations have a lot to teach younger generations about dating and relationships and romance and all of it. But Ellie Priestley, who's only been in narcissistic relationships by her own accounting and hasn't been in any of them for years and years, is only now just going on coffee dates, is like trying to tell the woman who met up with someone in Athens, got married, and had a baby by 25 and has a successful social media career. She should take social media advice from Allie. Sorry, and dating advice. Definitely.
Who has zero wisdom when it comes to relationships and intimacy and is not going to be able to have a masculine role in the relationship. And you can see that with Landon. He is so deeply insecure. And that should have been unattractive too. And some of this you can only learn with time. That is why we are trying to help younger women see this stuff. Their entire connection is so immature. Okay, and it's like that's what happens in your 20s. I'm not saying that they should understand everything, but they are also on the internet telling people how to manifest things. They're like, we manifested each other, like we just knew this was right. Like they literally put out a YouTube video where he's spewing all of this horrific new age egoic spiritual narcissist advice, while in the same breath he's texting someone and trying to hang out with them and saying that he and Liz.
So Wizard Liz's content, spirituality meets romance meets manifestation. Landon's content is gaming, I believe, or like it's not manifestation. It's not. And I'm too scared to play his because I don't want to get that terminated. But maybe we'll play a bit of his and him. I listened to 30 seconds where he was saying his the thing he sucks at the most is his relationship with his YouTube channel. That's what he needs to work on, is a relationship with his YouTube channel that he posted on Valentine's Day. Right. That was yesterday's, right? Yesterday's broadcast. I believe both Valentine's Day, Bill Paxton, which is why I'm now watching Big Love, that I did not know Bill Paxton was the main character on, and one of the wives is. We'll just wait. We'll wait until I'm done Big Love.
Aren't even together. Like that man is so emotionally inept that it is like at sociopathic levels. If you can have a dream woman, a woman that you've watched online forever, one of the prettiest women out there right now.
But I've paused several times to get into it. Probably still won't. This idea of like a partner being on your level, or what the fuck does that mean? That's kind of only in a capitalistic, classist. What the fuck does that mean? There's reasons to possibly, if you're going to choose to co-parent, right, pick someone of your religion or culture. There's reasons for and against that, right? But like, what the fuck does it mean to pick someone on your own level? Women were kept in a slave mode for the patriarchy. The only role we have is as women, is as wives and mothers. That's the role. The men get to go out and do every profession, every adventure, every role. Hopefully they provide for their wife and children while doing that. The only job of a woman is wife and mother, and then we did start to get, like mothering like jobs when you weren't yet a mother, like teacher and nurse, but you can't be that and be a mother. Even though Black women were, you know what I mean? Not today's topic. What is today's topic? I do remember, Jill, and I'm down with that being the topic. What's the update? What's the update on Jill? The binary that like a man is supposed to fill some kind of role of being provider, of being like, is also the lie. What the fuck does that mean? What does it mean to provide? What does it mean to protect? And from whom and why? Everything that the binary lie was supposed to give in the binary two-person relationship is better gotten from the village. And then that two-person relationship, if two people get into that or more, can be consensual, can be a choice, not a lifelong till death do us part. You have to look after me in illness. And then the man almost always leaves. And historically the woman stays around, even if I know examples of the opposite. Both men sticking around and looking after their wives, and women leaving their husbands when, they get sick, or vice versa. But on statistically, much more likely that men leave their wives when they aren't fertile, when they get sick and prolonged, or dying. Either way, so inconvenient for him, he leaves.
She's only 25 years old. She's famous on the internet. She's powerful. She's magnetic. She's all these things. She's your dream woman. You get her pregnant. You are married to her. You guys are traveling the world together. And there is not an ounce of him that is actually connected to her. And that is going to snap her mentally. And it is going to break her faith in herself, in humanity, in the universe, whether she acts like that online or not. And it was 100% preventable. I'm not blaming her for his horrible actions. But if we don't learn to spot the signs, have pattern recognition, and walk away, this is why decentering men, decentering romance in general is so important. And then you have a prayer of meeting a good person and having a healthy relationship. How we treat romance just in general is absurd. And that's why most of the time it doesn't go well, and people go through the most pain in the world over it. I gotta run. I have so much to say about this stuff. Anyways, she could have avoided being cheated on by never dating Landon in the first place. Liz and Landon should have never. I am not surprised that the wizard Liz got cheated on. This is what happens when you think you're a high vibrational person and you think that you've. She could have avoided being. I am not surprised that the wizard Liz got cheated on. This is what happens when you think you're a high vibrational person and you think that you've mastered energy and intuition. And like, she's only 25 years old. And I didn't know that. We need to be really careful who we are taking advice from. And no human is evolved enough to.
Lying to someone isn't a great relationship builder, restorer, right? Like, but is it abuse? Because he lied to her, but he didn't physically, emotionally, financially abuse her, sexually. Like, that's not what happens. And everyone projecting again this like fairy tale romance she was promised and we were promised and blah 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 is like, right, no, he cheated. Or preemptively cheated. I got caught. He was bad at it. He was didn't know who he was dating, right? Whatever station we're in, he was dating above his station. Like, we can all be in agreement with that. Looks wise, finance wise, she saw something in him. The universe saw something in their matchup. Like, his stock going down, because even the men are like, what were you fucking thinking? What were you thinking? You had her and you what? even good at it. You didn't even like. I can't. Anyway, sorry. I'm gonna go make a coffee. Did I put the link in? We're gonna put the link in again. I'm gonna go make a coffee while we've listened to Allie's take on just don't date. I mean, that's actually my strategy as well, but no, I don't suggest it for others. Like if you want a partner, the way to do that is to partner. And I'm just going to make a coffee, and I won't have Daniel sit here by himself before that. So I'll just play this for a bit.
Not get themselves in horrific human situations. And now she's 4 months pregnant, and she, like, that is actual hell to be 4 months pregnant with a man like that. And he's only 25 too, from what I'm seeing. He might even be younger than her. If a man tells you, if anybody tells you within 72 hours that they are in love with you, they are a love bomber. Like, she made such a dumb decision. Like, can we just put that out there? I'm not blaming her for an abusive man ruining her life, because it's ultimately his fault, obviously. But for a woman who's so evolved, who gives so evolved, like, nobody, that's the whole thing. Humans don't know what the fuck they are doing. None of us do. Nobody's enlightened. Nobody's like, usually the enlightened people are such spiritual narcissists that they walk themselves right into these kind of situations because they think that they are above the laws of humanity, and you're just not. If you marry a dude within 10 months and get pregnant with him, I don't care if he gives you a big ring. I don't care if he writes a book about how much he loves you. Like, you do not know that person. And the chances of it actually working out are slim to none. Yes, some people meet and they instantly know they want to be together, and they have a baby within a year, and somehow it works, right? Like, there are random situations like that, but for 99.9% of us, it's not going to go fucking well. Okay, if you marry someone within 10 months, you are an idiot. I'm sorry, not sorry. This is why I don't like all of these manifestation coaches and stuff, because they often don't teach you how to actually have discernment. It's just like, oh, if you put out positive things in the world, only positive things will come back. And if you vibrate at a certain frequency, only people of that frequency can possibly be attracted to you. That's not true. Actually, you're probably going to run into even more dangerous people who know how to prey on people like you, who or people who are complete spiritual narcissists. It seems like the guy that she got with is a complete narcissist just in general, but then he also got into all that self-help stuff and like, oh, I manifested Liz. Like, he literally said that. That is so scary. But when you...
That would have been such a great time to showcase him saying that. I manifested her to make... Anyway, I can't believe anything that comes out of her mouth about anyone. Thanks, Daniel, for joining.
Happy Sunday.
It was a week since we chatted, right? Was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago that you came up on Sunday?
It was a week. It's been a week. Can you hear me okay? Because I messed with a bunch of my audio on.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a little...
Could it be louder?
It could be louder. I mean...
Is this better?
I can also turn you up because, you know what I mean? I have you at 50% volume.
Maybe the chat can say. I know I don't have the best audio set up for all this kind of stuff, but...
Me neither, and I do it for 4 hours a day. So
yeah, yours sounds fine. I change settings on my computer sometimes, and then like I'm doing something different over here, and then I think it messes it up. But yeah, so I'm not intending to try to stay here for too long. I saw your stream like drop too. Like, has that happened before? If you covered
not that, no. I have covered other people before who I've had, maybe if I kept streaming and didn't see that and didn't see the chat, it would have given me a copyright warning. Like it would have actually striked my channel, but it didn't. It just stopped showing the video. And then when I came back and realized that, it started restreaming me again, but I didn't. Anyway, I canceled the stream. I was the one who ended it. It didn't end itself. So, and then it let me restart a stream. So I think we're good.
Interesting.
It's just that video that I was showing.
Zeji says, yeah, your audio is better than mine. Okay, well, that's good enough. Very non-professional. And yeah, if you see like the stuff I'm covering, I'm like, I don't have the time or energy to put a lot of effort into these, like telling my story, but the people who
I think
find
what you've done is actually a very effective way of telling your story. You know that because it's been very effective with Corinne and now with Jill. The fact you've been blocked, the fact that they came to my channel, or I mean, Corinne did on Monday, like the day after you were here, was like something about me using her for clout, me using her name for clout. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. The name Corinne Vivers, I'm just swinging that around for all the clout it's worth. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what
you're doing works.
I can't remember if I saw that comment, but even just that idea. I mean, if people like your channel or the story the truth story I'm telling. I mean, if I was trying to make a YouTube channel for views for my own pleasure or to make money or something, you think I would be doing this? Like, no, I'd be covering like AI or something. I would do like I'd cover like video game news or something. Like anything it would be hashtag whatever more popular than this. Like, and I've only put in like 1% effort. Like, I have this. There's like a little bit of a tangent there, but yeah. So
you're welcome.
The idea of
Corinne's
saying, "Oh, you're using me for clout." Are you like?
The effort that you've put in could be more, like you said, right? That you've put in 1%, which is why it's so beautiful that it's like it could be a hobby. You can do it for 1 hour a month, and it's still going to sit there and still going to be a reflection of what she's actually done and what kind of a person she is, which is why it's effective. It's not about having 1 million people watch it. It's about having the right people watch it. Someone who Googles her, the next person she gets, who has the wherewithal to Google her, and they might not until after they've had an interaction with her, but then they at least get backed up that like, oh, this person's the problem. I'm not the problem. It doesn't work as far as like, it doesn't de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, it doesn't de-escalate. But I mean, and
they don't
the other
get their
thing I mean by that is like, and so people, like what happened to me, like happened in my real physical life. It's not like purely internet drama. And obviously we know what happened to Jubilee, like affected them in their physical life. But I have the sense it kind of started on the internet or something. Okay, this like wrecked, it affected things in my like real life hobbies that I did. But it's all based around this flow art and fire spinning hobby, like because there were some comments made that I'm just gonna paraphrase because I'll cover the screenshots and stuff on the Internet Truth Detector, but if I wanted to move it from like 1% effort to like I think Corinne has this idea that I am trying to like ruin her brand or something, and like I would like acknowledgement of what she did to me, acknowledgement, an apology, like that's it. I've said so many times that an apology would go an extremely long way. That's the type of person that I am. So without that, like they're just saying that they think what they did is okay. But the 1% effort is I'm just like making these super low effort YouTube videos, and that's it. Like there are countless forums for people in that hobby. There's Reddit forums for fire spinning. There's countless Facebook groups with thousands of people for fire spinning. Like, all I would have to do is take one of those videos and drop it in a giant Reddit group, right? And just be like, hey, we call each other Flomies, the people in Flow Arts. It's always like, hey, Flomies, what's up, or whatever. All I'd have to do is take one of those videos, because people do know that brand if you're in that hobby, and it would just say what Fire Mecca did to me, and like that, that would be it, like, for them. And I haven't even done that. Like, I don't know. I guess, you know, we all have our own like internal conscience, moral compass or whatever. Like, I don't feel, maybe I'm stupid and I'm just waiting still for like someone to acknowledge what happened from that group of people and say like, let's try to get you an apology or something. Like, if this was pure vindictive hatred or something, like, I would have already done something like that. I would have already like gone into one of those like Reddit groups where there's like 10,000 people that spin fire and be like, hey, watch out for this brand, don't buy from this brand. You know, I have, like, I'm just doing this YouTube channel. I think if I got an apology, there's a small chance I'd take it all down, which still might not even be the right thing to do. But
there's
that's
you
what
put in 1% effort out of your life, right? Like 1% of the effort maybe towards this. In Corinne's world, in Allie's world, 100% of the bad publicity they hear about themselves online comes from me. Now your channel with Corinne. Like, it feels that way to them, even if it's not what is actually happening, right? Like, or it is 100% of it. So if they only got us taken down, if they got me taken down, it would stop. No, because you did the thing. You did the bad thing. Like, her publishing about you and still refusing to take it down and seeing that she did anything wrong in a group that's about not dating dangerous men, when she's implying a danger that's not there. You guys never dated. Like, it's, whereas warning people in communities about these people in their communities, right? That like, right, the other flow arts people, knowing that this person exists, they're probably not going to know to Google, because why would you, until after they've had an incident, and then might look up and find out that she's had incidents with other people. This is how we have to create trust and build community in the world, because the criminal justice system it has no idea what to do with online, not actual crimes that are committed online, and definitely not wishy-washy community stuff. And in-person community doesn't either. Leftist space, like every like burner community, all of them are full of these narcissistic people who wear their like identity like badges. Like, look, I've been the CEO, I've been this, I've been that, but they're causing havoc, and they're pretending they know how to do conflict resolution, but they never hold each other accountable. And the Jills are there to back up the Corinnes. Like, there's an actual way that this goes in society. And like, for us to actually create villages and fix the world, we need to act like this is something that needs to be honored. But it's a very uncomfortable position to be in, to be Corinne or Allie, to be like, wait a minute, this has worked my whole life. I've been breaking people and like, wait, I got caught? Wait, because you did it online, Corinne?
Yeah, the knowledge that there were previous victims, I guess that does put me in the position of, like, I have really thought, if nothing else, like, maybe it will help some future person avoid getting in contact with the owner of Fire Mecca or something. Like, I was a Fire Mecca affiliate. Like, as far as I can tell, they were just like waiting to do this to me, especially after they posted that they're a misandrist on their Instagram. Like, as far as I can tell, when they met me and I was interested in fire spinning, they were like, oh, great, got another one. Let's just reel them in for the next 9, 10, 11 months. And then when the time is right, then like I'll make all these false accusations. Like, I mean, I'll never really know, but from
There's, you know what
it
Munchausen's
almost
by
seems like
proxy
there was a
or
plan the whole
Munchausen's
time.
is? You know what Munchausen's or Munchausen's by proxy is?
I can't remember.
When
What?
someone fakes having a disease or fakes having an illness or has their child fake, like forces their child to have an illness, like makes them have an illness in order to get the sympathy generally, in order to get the attention. If there's an even more like Uber version that happens online and someone was outed as their child had exploratory brain surgery over it. I feel like there was a reason I was bringing it up because it feels like there's an equivalent that happens where people are like, my ex is dangerous. My like stalker by proxy. Like it's like these things aren't actually happening, but they need to rile up sympathy. They need to be the victim. So they like constantly are bad mouthing people. And when they do it online and it's public, it becomes a crime. Whereas before, like it was probably still a crime to do it in the one-on-one relationships. But like, I don't know, there's something here that was like
Yeah,
the munch,
and
like
that
the
might even be an over
like my
analysis.
life is in danger, and it's like, but it's not. His is, yours isn't, Corinne. But you're like, you're
People want the
manifesting it.
dopamine from attention, and then people who have had bad childhoods and stuff. I mean, we all learn, and if they're a narcissist, they extra need that attention to like feel anything, and um, yeah, like I'm not gonna bring up certain people that I know that, well, the people when they learn, especially at like a young age or like as a teenager, that nobody pays attention to me, but if I need like if I have to go to the doctor or I get sick, then my caregivers give me attention. They basically ignore me and tell me I'm a piece of crap otherwise, but hey mom, I'm sick, I have the flu, then at least I get attention. And I think that is just a continuation of nobody cares about me, nobody cares about me. But if I'm constantly, as soon as I put up some kind of signal that my life is bad and or I'm in danger, then a bunch of people come around me. But then once the drama's over, then I can't bear the boringness of life. So, my guess is, yeah, someone that's behaving the way the owner of Fire Mecca is behaving, um, they're just on a 2-month cycle of needing to feign that they're, I mean, many of their Facebook posts all have some kind of woe is me thing always embedded in it. It's like if you actually took that stuff at face value, you would think this person just has like the worst life ever. Like it's they
Constantly
always
the
have to
victim
include that.
and or the hero. Yeah.
So I will talk about this on my channel, but so I didn't know what to do. The owner of Fire Mecca commented on 2 of my videos, and one of them basically they told more lies. They said, "Stop harassing me and my friends and my family." Okay. And I made it. I could always undo this. I don't mind hearing the crowd's opinion or whatever, or your opinion. So I chose to block them on my YouTube channel. Now, blocking someone on YouTube, they can still watch all your videos. Their comments just don't appear. And the reason that I did that is not because I don't have the time. I have too much other hobbies and stuff. Like I can't go around finding lies that Corinne is telling, at least in one place. I can be like, well, you're not going to keep spreading lies here. Like, if it was conversational and if it had any truth to it and it was like, let's move in some degree towards some resolution, then we can have some comments. But if she's just going to say, stop harassing my friends and family, like, there's been no, like, I don't even know who their family is. So, like, so I did that.
I have a question because I was confused about it by what she said in my comments. Which, did she get a restraining order on you through all of this?
It sure sounds like it.
Wouldn't you have been served something? Or is she just implying that she has a restraining order? Because her using an internet smear campaign to get an actual restraining, like, I just wanted to, what has happened on your end?
I will answer that, but I guess maybe in exchange, I'm wondering, you have said that the owner of Fire Mecca called the police on you, and you saw that report. Respectfully, you have said all that. You have told me not to share that report, even if I redact addresses and things. Do you still want me to not share the evidence that that's what they did?
I feel that, not necessarily. No, you can share it as long as you take out my address and such things.
Oh, sure. Okay. Because I think it might be important for people to know that you covered one of their videos and their response was to call the police on you. And I don't know if I have said that on my channel, but I've been interested to know if I can also, I'll redact a massive, everything I can. But I'd like to be able to be like, yeah, this is how we know that. I'm not just saying that. So it seems like
here's the date Jubilee covered, and here's the thing that says Phoenix, Arizona. Unless it was someone else pretending, no, it was.
Yeah.
Only.
So yeah, it sounds like the owner of Fire Mecca did successfully. So the way restraining orders work, which maybe people already know this, but first you have to convince the court to, I don't know what the word for this is, to initiate the process, right? So you have to go in front of a judge and you have to say, here's what happened. I would like a restraining order. In Arizona, there's two different types, but actually called personal protection orders, but we'll just say restraining order. But you should look up, they have specific words in different states and counties and blah, blah, blah. And also, people throw these words around a lot, and I have had to look up what are the actual legal definitions of all these things and what do they actually mean and whatever. So we'll just say restraining order, although I do believe it's actually something called a personal protection order. Restraining order as a term doesn't exist in Arizona. But either way, so first you have to get the court to believe your story. Then they kind of hit the green light and they're saying, okay, this restraining order can be served, but you technically, you don't have a restraining order on your record or anything until it has been served to you. It's there must be other things like this, but that's why people have those service jobs, right? They have to physically hand you a piece of paper and be like, you've been served. This way, it won't show up. Let's say you got pulled over for speeding and a police ran your record or something. It wouldn't say, oh, this person has a pending restraining order. It's not on your record until it's been served to you. And even once it's served, you still have a process to fight it. Like you can be like, no, this person lied about, you can get a lawyer, and then you can be like, this is why, judge, this should not. So until all that happens, it's not on your record. So I did have the police call me. I recorded half of the conversation, but when I answered the phone, I didn't have my voice recorder like quick enough. And so I was like trying to stall the officer and get my recorder out. So I only recorded the tail end of it, which kind of sucks. But they called me. It was obviously like a little bit manipulative. They did say, so I don't have this recorded, but the other half is they said, this is the whatever county I was in. This is the sheriff. And are you so-and-so? I said yes. And they said that, well, I'm here at this address. Like, are you home? And I think I said no. And then like, they asked if I was like gonna come back like sometime or whatever, and that's when I was like, I can't tell you that. And that's when I was like, so they said, I said, what is this about? And then, because police are actually allowed legally, they can lie to you if they want to, which is a whole nother topic. But the sheriff, they said they were the sheriff. Now, again, this could have been anybody, but this is just someone who called me, right? Like, I mean, I hope the sheriff has a record of this. Like, but anyways, I said, what is this about? And they said, oh, well, I have a message from Corinne. Okay. Now, at this time, I had already explicitly told Corinne not to contact me, because I looked up, if you do want to get what's called an injunction against harassment, it's a type of restraining order that basically tells the courts and the police that this person is not allowed to contact you. Well, I looked up, those typically are not effective unless you've actually told the person, don't contact me. Like if you went to try to get a injunction against harassment, you went in front of the court and you're like, this person won't stop contacting me. The judge is supposed to say, did you tell them not to contact you? And like, because otherwise they don't know, So I have the email. I already showed the email on my channel. I'm like, do not contact me ever again. So if Corinne keeps contacting me, at least I have a way to, if I were to get an injunction against harassment, be like, I told this person not to contact me. Well, anyways, so I had already done that. The sheriff person's like, oh, I have a message from Corinne. And this is when I got the voice recorder on. So I guess I will post this. And you can hear me say like, so they said, I just have a message for Corinne. I said, I told Corinne not to contact me. So they're trying to deliver this message. And so then the officer says they're wondering when I would like come home to that address. And I was like, well, I can't tell you when I'm going to be back. They're not just going to wait around there all day, but according to them, they were at the physical address. And so then they said, well, would you like to meet up like somewhere in the area? Like they suggested like a Starbucks or like a Walmart parking lot or something like that. Like literally, they're like, well, we don't have to meet up here. Like, they were offering and inviting me, like, let's just have a chat. Like, I'd just like to meet up with you or something. And I was like, no, I'm okay. Like, that's fine with me. And they tried a couple more times to see if I would meet up with them. I said, is there anything else? And just said, well, you're not taking my offer to meet up. I said, no, thank you. I decline your offer. Have a good day. And that was it. So I do believe that because Corinne made a comment on my channel, which they can't comment anymore. They did. I took screenshots of those, so I will show them. Corinne made a comment that I evaded their restraining order, but the problem is.
Wait a minute. If you need to be served, it's generally not a police officer who serves you. It's generally anyone else but, is it not?
Oh no, actually, I might change by county, but I called the courts to find out how this all works.
Yeah.
And so in that county, there's two ways to do it. You either go the regular route, which is if your restraining order is approved by a judge, it goes across the desk, and the sheriff is actually the person in that county that serves restraining orders. I mean, because basically the sheriff isn't doing a lot more than like eating donuts and like paperwork. So the sheriff is like, okay, I'll go serve these restraining orders. So you can do that. And when you file a restraining order, you can put a few things. You can put the person's home address if you have it. You can also put where they work. And you can also put in there, because I looked at all this up, okay? You can also put other things like, are there other places that they frequently go to that you know of? What are the hours that they work? What are the hours that they would likely be at these other places? What are the hours that they're likely to be at home? Okay. So this is, if you're still listening out there, this is quite insane though. So Corinne posted my full address to 60,000 people on the internet. So I fucking moved, right? There were gun threats. They posted no, I did not get served. So they posted my address and gun threats and told people to come find me, like to thousands of people on the internet. So I fucking moved. Like I was in therapy because I was afraid for my life. And I moved, and then the only address that Corinne had was my old address. So they couldn't serve me. Excuse the fuck out of me. I wonder what that means. But the other thing is, like, I don't know what Corinne could have told the courts to, like, get a restraining order. At that point, all I had done is reposted what she posted in the Are We Dating the Same Guy group to my Facebook. That's all I had done at that point. So she's like, I need a restraining order on this guy because he copy and pasted like a thing that I put on Facebook. Like the way I see it is she must have lied to the judge. She must have said, this guy is dangerous. He's coming around the house. Like,
the only truth she has was that you were a fan of Dexter, and that what was the other one that was just coming to mind? It's like, right, these are not things that can get it. I agree. She lied. She absolutely lied because that you lied, that you're a lying atheist, right? You're a closet Christian out there writing Christian books. None of those things get restraining orders. Like, anything she has that has a microgram of truth isn't violence. It's the made up in her imagination. My guess is, can you get with the Freedom of Information Act, a copy of the paperwork she put in, even if it's not served? That feels. Send me the paperwork, but don't send me the paperwork.
I would probably need a lawyer for that. Well, I mean, people don't know this, but I also went to the police because I thought I was assaulted. And I included every single thing that happened, including the doxing, which is illegal on a federal and different U.S. states, but it's Arizona even has a law on that as well. And the police officer, I have the police report, didn't give a shit about any of it. And basically told me, well, we have real crimes to deal with. he
Right,
told
which is
me,
the only reason that she didn't lie is if she has a friend in the police department, and they're basically just giving out protection orders for their friends for, you know what I mean? Like, hey, yeah, whatever, stay away from this person.
she did say that she has law enforcement experience, and that is documented. So I'm going to be showing that document as well. She wrote to a bunch of people in Burning Man that she had law enforcement experience. So maybe she does have like someone in the force or something, like doing favors or whatever.
It's her number one. The only thing she has on you is that she has an RO. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, so she filed and lied and has this thing pending that she's using against you. That she, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have done this if she didn't have a reason. Well, what's your reason? Oh, I have this art. Like, it's a revolving door of illogic, but she's going to use it. And you know what I mean? She's already using it in my comment section of like, well, you don't understand because I got it, you know. You lied. Yeah, no, I understand. You lied to a judge
got
to get
some affirmation from the judge by, I mean, I did some research on this, and I mean, I understand the social, the societal dynamics between men and women are what they are. According to what I found, like, if you want a restraining order on someone, if you're a woman, it's usually a lot easier. You can just say how scared you feel and they can approve it. From the research I did, it's harder as a guy. Like if you said the exact same thing.
Which is also, I just have to say, so fucking stupid, because any guy that's going to listen to, like, they don't fucking care about the law, and nobody's bulletproof. So, like, an RO doesn't matter to somebody who actually cares enough to get to you. Cares enough to spend time in prison, right? Like that piece of paper, they're like, well, once they kill you, we'll step in and do something.
Because I went to a domestic violence shelter, okay? And they told me that, because I was thinking about getting the same thing, and they told me one of the things that we deal with is if our victims do successfully serve people, a lot of times it makes it worse. So some guy is threatening some woman and she's trying to avoid him, but doing this like complacency thing or whatever. And they say there's good cases where people successfully get a restraining order served, and it just pisses the perpetrator off more. Like they weren't actually going to do anything. And then it's like, oh, you're going to fucking do that. Now I'm really going to get you. And so that's a terrifying and scary thing.
And then one of the other things, well, you were talking about the fact she posted your address and those like people who have a history of committing narcissistic abuse, of collecting victims, know who they are. They know what to get on you. Well, you're friends with them, right? Where do you work? What's your address? They get those things to be able to use them against you. Whereas somebody who's actually a good person out in the world, who's never had a relationship explode in this way and had somebody narcissistically abuse them, isn't going to know to protect any of that information. Isn't going to know, like, yeah. Right, they're going to use your address against you, make you feel unsafe, and play the victim. Like, it's like collecting this information. Like, our criminal justice system is set up to believe and help the perpetrator and punish the victim. We clearly just laid that out, irregardless of gender. And then when you add gender in, it's even more exponentially, like, what I just explained. Narcissistic abuse is not sex, it's not as sex dependent.
When I went to the domestic violence shelter for help because I didn't know what to do, they told me, they actually came with me when they do these advocacy things where they're like, we'll come with you if you'd like to file a police report, because I think I was assaulted. And they're like, one of the services we offer is we'll just come with you. We can't say anything, but we'll stand with you. And like, you're this emotional support. So, but they told me, they really prepped me. They said, first of all, you're a guy, so they're not going to care. Second of all, even the women like the police only listen to like 10%, 5% of, we tell everybody, you're going to go, your whole story is horrifying. Just completely don't expect them to do anything, because here's what happens. And maybe like giant trigger warning or whatever for everybody. And we can move on to something tangentially, but they said basically what happens in these domestic abuse things is the police will hear everything. They can read every text message, whatever it is, the doxing in my case, all the threats, line for line. And then, you know what they said, and this is what they said to me. Well, did anybody shoot you? Like, did someone hit you? Like, they're not trained to understand this person's in danger. They're trained to, once a physical thing has happened. So assault is not physical. If you look at the legal definition of assault, it means you put someone in fear for their life. Okay. Once you've done that, you've assaulted someone, whether you touched them or not. And like, I literally had to explain this to the police officer, and he's like, well, if nobody showed up and like hit you or brandished a gun, like actually in front of you, like call us once that's happened. Call us once you've been hit. And that's what they tell the women too. They like, so the domestic violence shelter, they said, we'll go with you, and you need to do this for your personal, like, you know, sense of self or whatever, to stand up for yourself. Just be prepared. They're probably going to do nothing. And she said, I do this with women every single day, and almost nothing ever happens. And it definitely opened my eyes to like a super like fucked up thing. Like, and like to the ACAB people, it's like, this is why I was like, I've heard this stuff about like community policing like for a long time. Like, I'm in these liberal circles and stuff, like, and I'm like, okay, this sort of makes sense or whatever. Yeah, someone's catching up in the comments. And I'm really seeing it firsthand, like why you need community policing. But so that's emotional. Sorry if that was triggering or anything.
We had a more triggering conversation yesterday. This is such an important conversation and area. Like, this is the entire family law department. And like, the only thing police could possibly help with is kind of domestic violence situations, and yet they are horrible at it. Like, it's almost like they're designed to be completely horrible in that situation. There's a woman who I follow on TikTok who's actually local to me in Vancouver called Jessica, who one was her neighbor had the police. She called the police on her neighbor because there was a yelling going on. And when the police came and got involved, or she let them in because someone else had called, and they basically stepped in and did something one night and then did nothing the next night, putting her in more risk. And she was telling the story. And the next one is like, she has a stalker, and they basically told her to put up like video cameras in her house to capture if and when he assaults her. And then in the video where she's telling that, she's also like, and they're probably going to blame me. Why did I put up video cameras? Did I know he was going to do that? She's like, yeah, that's absolutely what they're going to say. But there's nothing to preempt it. Like, this is designed to make people victims, keep perpetrators on the street, and the police don't do the one thing they should be there for. They're out creating new criminals.
From the research I've done, they're just not trained. I think on the one hand we look at them as like bad or something, but I'm a nerd, okay? I will go down rabbit holes quite deeply and trying to understand. It basically looks like there's just not training, because it's easy for me to look at what happened and especially the officer I talked to, and like he's a bad person, but they only get so much training. They can only, I mean, they're supposed to have ongoing training, but
Well, it's also like there's no amount of training that they can, in their individual job, overcome the fact that an RO gives them no possibility of stepping into people who are actually violent and stopping the violence from before it happens.
yeah,
And yet it aggravates people who are actually violent. And so that entire process isn't making there be less violence towards anyone. And their role is basically to perpetuate more violence, to give ROs that are like, hey, this person who you don't like, it says you're a scary, terrifying person who you're supposed to stay away from. Oh, are you a scary, terrifying person? You're going to go kill them. Are you not? Well, then you might be more likely to be offended
I'm
because
sure,
you're now being called one.
I'm sure they deter certain types of people who are just like an annoying fly driving by your house too often, that sort of stalking behavior. And they get served the RO, and then they're like, well, fuck it. I don't want to go to jail, so I guess I have to stop. But they're only good for a year anyways, so like I guess I have to stop for a year. But that's probably a small percentage. Most ROs, yeah, you think the person who's actually going to be violent, oh, they got served a restraining order. Oh, dang, I have this restraining order. Now I'm not going to go like break your windows or something. Like actually people who don't mind breaking the law, that's not going to stop them at all. Anyways, so I do believe the thing is, okay, so Corinne is going to shout to the hills that I got approved for a restraining order. Like, so the lawyer I talked to, like, you guys have to realize, like, this is not a joke, okay? The lawyer I talked to said, if Corinne, so what happens is if they can serve it, then you get to have your day in court to fight it. And the lawyer I talked to said, actually, if Corinne is able to get this served, it would be the worst thing for her. Because he said, the court system is not really designed to listen to, like, I showed all the doxing and everything. Like, and the police, they couldn't help me. But the lawyer I talked to said if Corinne gets this served, which they won't, if they were able to get a RO served, that would be the worst thing for them, because now he's like, now I will be in court with you, and what will happen is we will actually turn that in around on her. She thinks she's gonna get me. I believe she had to have lied to even get the RO, and so she might get a perjury case for lying to the courts. But then he's like, that would be the best thing for you, actually, because then we would have a free excuse to show all the stuff that she did to the court. And so the lawyer, I said, like, you don't have to do anything. Like, if they serve you, you just call me and, like, we'll go. That's that. So at this point, she better hope that they aren't able to serve me. And so she feels probably very, like, vindicated. Oh, the court listened to me or whatever. I mean, I personally believe that she had to have lied to the court, but either way, she can now go tell people, I got an RO on you, which is not, that's like saying, I gave you a ring, therefore we're married, or you're my wife or something. Like, well, we haven't had the ceremony. Like, you're not my wife yet. Like, technically, I don't have anything on my record. Technically, and so what's really hilarious is, well, in a sick way, right, is that Corinne got, she says she has this law enforcement experience and this criminology degree, yet she posted my address to tens of thousands of people. Then, after, it sounds like weeks and weeks after that, then she goes to try to get a restraining order. Like, I've evacuated. You think I was gonna stay? Like, now I don't own my home, so you think I was gonna stay at an apartment once it was blasted like that? Like, hell no. So I've left. Like, so there's just it's tempting for me to think that's just like dumb, like low IQ dumb. But you can see on my channel, I kind of just stick to the facts. I'm not really a like a name calling person.
Yeah, I don't think she is dumb, and I think that she knows what she's doing, and I think that she has a criminology degree. Like you know what doxing is. You know what putting up someone's address is, while also putting out threats, and she has people buying her cars. Like everything she's done is calculated. She knows how to use people, and she, tried to use you, and you didn't fall into your exact script of working for free for Fire Mecca, and you blocked her, and she got a narcissistic injury and posted you, and well, what is unfolded on this channel? Your channel isn't folded. She called the cops on me. She keeps lying about you in my comment section and your comment section while she's, doing a clear, almost certainly clearly, I would say with 95 to 99% certainty, lied to a judge or a friend cop who lied to a judge to get, or I don't know if you need to be in front of a
Yeah,
judge. Actually,
once
I
you
don't know,
see
but
that that like 99.9% of everything she writes online is false, then it's like this person just has no problem just literally like living a life of lies. I do think she made a mistake in doing this to me because I'm probably the first person that she's abused who like stood up um, and didn't just like take the abuse and like slink away into like nothingness or something. Um, and I couldn't have done this without Jubilee. Like in the sense, you seeing that video is like changed a huge amount of this. Well, so going forward, last week I said that Jill reached out to me. Now Corinne, Jill, and another woman named can't remember now. I'm not gonna guess. There's 3 people in the nonprofit called Burners Without Borders. Now, I have had great experiences with Burners Without Borders in my home state of Michigan. I was involved in that for a while. It's like fine what they do. We did like work with the homeless. So, these 3 people in Arizona, Corinne is like the president, and then there's the 3 board members on the nonprofit. Well, we saw so catching people up. Jill, after the gun threats, harassment, the gun situation, Jill came into the comments and says, Corinne has the reasons, and it looks like Jill is saying Corinne has the reasons to give gun threats, right? So finally, like made I made a video basically telling Jill, like, hey, other board member of this nonprofit, like I said, you're being lied to. And like, let's talk about it. Like, please wake up. Like, you have been lied to. Um, and this is what I think Corinne wrote is like, stop harassing my friends. Like, telling someone that they've been lied to and asking for a conversation is not harassment. And also, they have to tell you, like, don't talk to me, like, which has not happened. So actually what happened was Jill reached out to me. And we talked about last time that it might be a flying monkey thing, or maybe like, they're best friends and they're both sitting at the computer on Facebook, like, or on their phone or whatever. But I'm like, okay. So Jill reached out to me, based in a nutshell, asking for asking for what I want. Like, and I thought that was a little bit like jumping the gun, because the stream just like reset or something. I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, there was a glitchy for a moment, but I could still hear you.
Are you still tracking?
Yep, still tracking.
Okay, so I'll try to make this a little bit shorter, but Jill reaches out asking like, what do you want? And I was like, I want a conversation with, like, I'm trying to be charitable and think this is Jill, the other board member from the nonprofit, like legitimately trying to understand what's going on, right? Like not being fake or something. And they're saying, Jill says like, what is it exactly that you want? And I said, Jill, you've been lied to. Like, I really would like to have a conversation about the lies. Well, that's when Jill explained that, because I was like, well, I called you out on being an assault apologist because, like, you saw the gun threats and you said Corinne has their reasons for that. And that's when Jill said, "Oh, that's not what I meant. What I meant to say, what I meant was Corinne had reasons to do a background check on you." And I was like, "Oh, okay. What is explain that?" She said, "Well, Corinne based this I'll paraphrase, but Corinne basically told me that you were trying to join our nonprofit, and so Corinne ran a background check on you." And like, that's all weird. I wasn't like trying to join their nonprofit, first of all, but I looked up the law again, and um nonprofits cannot run background checks without getting consent. No employer, businesses, if they ever run a background check on you, there's all these laws they have to follow. And there's a reporting agency. So I was like, should I be reporting you guys? And Jill was like, that sounds like a threat. And I'm like, there's a conversation. Like, let's. One of the first things she said is like, that sounds like you're threatening me. I'm like, I said, if you ran a background check on me without my consent, I was like, should I be reporting this? Like, I'm trying to get them to, let's talk about this and figure out what's going on. And then, so eventually they said, okay, well, I'll look into this and see what else. There's a lot of paraphrase. But they ended with basically saying, like, what is it exactly that you want? And I reiterated, Jill, I would like to have a conversation with you about these different lies that Corinne told about me. She said I had restraining orders in other states. Okay. And it sounds like you're saying she got that information by running a background check on me. Okay. Also, if you're following my channel, so I ran a background check on myself live, just to clear the air. And that's going to be up soon. But so the update is, so Jill got back to me 12 hours later and was like, still, what exactly is it do you want? Do you want the original post taken down? Like, what do you want? And I said, wow, that was quick. Like, for you to look into things. Like, you said you were going to look into things. That's how she left it. I'm going to look into, I'll do some investigation. It took her 12 hours to say, okay, what do you want? And I said, that was pretty quick. I said, what did you find out? And then she didn't say anything. I waited 24 hours. And then I said, like, I'd like to have a conversation with you about the lies. And now it's been a week. And I just went and checked to see if she responded. I was like, okay, go live my life. And, I'll check back in a week. And I looked and she's blocked me. So, like, and one last thing is, if you go and read their like mission statement or whatever on Burners Without Borders Arizona, they say, crap. I'll look really quick. just because. They say they're this. Why can't I find the website when I need it? Here it is. What did they say? Okay, it says right on their thing. They're what are they? They're a community leadership program. That's what their website says. Which is ironic, at the least. And I don't know. That's the news. I mean, I'm concerned that, like, Corinne showed their personal terrible behavior, like as the owner of Fire Mecca and everything for months and months, and like continues to do it. Because I'm not really a judgmental person. I mean, I guess I was trying to give Jill the benefit of the doubt. To reach out to someone who's been harmed by another board member of your nonprofit, acting as if you're there for some conversation, act as if you're going to look into things, and then decide, shit, I better block this person. That looks pretty. I don't know what you guys think. That seems bad. Like, is that bad? Seems bad.
I missed what the C's bad is because I was reading the comment from Trixie and my brain went blank. But something about chattel to say this woman thinks I was a birthday gift from God to her and she will sacrifice her child. And that should say that's how she found her way here. And yeah, no, that's Allie's go-to statement about me that I've never said, and then she's now escalated to saying that I've said that I have brain cancer and I'm co-opting brain cancer. Well, she's meanwhile co-opting it to lie about me, saying that I'm lying about her. Yeah, sorry that I'm whatever. My verbal is going down. Thank you for coming up and telling your story, Daniel, and sharing the update.
I would like to make one comment about Dexter, and then I'll go.
I think he said yes, he has.
Yes. I mean, realistically, if I was rich, like, the evidence that I have is absolutely overwhelming. The problem is it just costs thousands and thousands of dollars to actually, like, do anything. Even Meta, like, Meta will take down bad things in groups, like such as doxing and stuff. It's a fucking weird rabbit hole. These Are We Dating the Same? So people have tried to make Are We Dating the Same girl groups, and they actually get taken down, like the group itself, as bad. Okay. But there are millions of members of Are We Dating the Same Guy groups, and they say nasty things about people in there, and there's doxing happening all day long. And look into it. I made tons of requests to Meta to take that stuff down, and they say it takes them a week and it gets back to me, and they're like, sorry, we don't see any violation of our community standards. Like, too bad.
So we really do need the opposite from like have a vouch for each other, as opposed to warning especially women about men, especially when they've actually done things on dates and been dangerous, is like we need that. Like, we really do need that. I don't know if we need 60-person ones that are not like we need to honor what happens and what, like, our entire online dating culture is weird and what am I trying to say? To be able to vouch for people and say, right, it's not, we shouldn't be trusting each other in the very ways that we're expected to trust each other, and then we're not trusting each other in the ways that we need to be able to, on a human to human level, to be able to build trust and be discerning. Is this person someone who stands on their values, or do they show up when they say they're going to, regardless if you're in a romantic relationship with them or not? That so much of our romance and dating is lying to one another, is pretending you're something you're not, and then uncovering the truth. And like, that's a really we're not standing in truth for with each other and helping each other find compatible matches. We're competing and lying and doing like underhanded weird stuff, and the narcissists get to run the show. Like, online dating lets the narcissist run the show. Reading the book on attachment style, and like 50% of humans are properly attached, and then there's like 3 or 2 different ways to be not securely attached in the combination. But the dating pool is like 90% unsecurely attached people, because as soon as you have somebody who
the dating pool over 26
they,
or 27, like, all the securely attached people already found each other.
I think there's a way to actually stand up for one another and say, hey, this person's actually ready to find a serious relationship. Not the person themselves, because they probably, like, they're friends, right? Like, yes, they're whatever. Like, there's ways to vouch for each other and create systems that actually work, that aren't trusting internet strangers with our physical safety when, sorry, we can't trust a lot of the people with our physical safety who we actually know for years and years and years, let alone somebody who you're expected to be able to know instantly if you have chemistry, and then also be able to discern if they're a safe enough person. Are they faking the chemistry? Are they just mirroring me? Are they just pretending that I'm compatible so that, anyway, like, our entire dating person is both like the binary male female dynamic is to lie and pretend that you're someone you're not, and to look better than you actually do to some degree if you're a female, and to be a better protector and provider as a man than you actually are. Like lie, pretend you're the thing that society says you're supposed to be, as opposed to actually being and finding compatible.
Yeah, I mean, people, you're not just looking for a business partner, you're looking for attraction. So you need to make a good first impression. So is going out of your way to make a good first impression, like, are you saying that is kind of like lying?
I'm absolutely saying good first impression is lying in every instance. Yep, it's masking and lying, right? And now it's what we do in business, what we do in romance. It's what you need to do, because we don't have a foundation of trust in knowing someone. And yet, the idea you can meet your partner and know right away and make that decision yourself is a very newer concept. It used to be more arranged marriage, more other people deciding if you're compatible so that you're matched up together for life. If you're matched up together for life, other cultures didn't necessarily have match up together and didn't necessarily have arranged marriages. But there's something of like, well, I don't know, we've messed it up completely. The entire dynamic of like, by not honoring who and what we are.
Well, I don't mind talking about that topic sometime. I do want to make a comment while I have the chance to, about the Dexter thing. So I did like the show called Dexter. I think a lot of people did. The thing is, so as a person on the autism spectrum, most people on that spectrum like that show, not because of the murder stuff. When he was like a altruistic, like he went after the bad guys, right? That couldn't be caught. But what is so intriguing about a show like that is the what do they call it, like the narrative monologue dialogue that's describing the masking. So I don't know if they were trying to say Dexter was autistic. You could make, you could probably make a case for that, but he like goes through the office and he goes through like these interactions like in the world where he like has to try to fit in, and then they monologue, they narrative. He's like, I haven't watched that in so long, but yeah, the way he describes, he's like, well, make sure you act this way, or he's like, I bring donuts every Friday because it seems like the socially thing to do. He's, he like literally says it out loud. He's like, this seems stupid, but like people seem to like this, and I'm trying to like fit in or whatever. And like those are the things why people on the spectrum like that show, because they go through, they're not serial killers, but they go through very similar things when they have to go in all these different interactions. Like, okay. And that's why I think that show, like, why I liked it.
I agree that Dexter is autistic coded, even if he's not like he's sociopathic, and that is also autistic coded to some degree. Whether he is both or, you know what I mean, just one, just sociopathic, or I don't know.
Like,
there's
there's scenes where he's like, okay, well, at this moment I should like smile, but not smile too hard or whatever. Like, and they monologue that, and that is exactly what like autistic people who are not evil sociopaths, they have to do the same thing sometimes.
Absolutely. And
like,
he has
maintain eye contact, but not too much eye contact, like, because that's also weird. But
true.
make sure you don't like stare in the corner while you're talking to people either. Like, that's the gem part of Dexter. So
I agree. And I also think there's a justice aspect, right? Like he's out literally inflicting justice, like in a way more autistic way than like Batman is. And anyway, yeah, it invokes our sense of justice. But there's also a what was I gonna say? Like women who watch a lot of true crime. It's not because we're planning to be criminals, right? It's like a lot of times it's to not be the victim, and because of the interest. It's not like a how do I get away with the perfect murder? Although maybe, but like
there's a shock and awe. I've watched some of that true crime stuff, and it's mostly like, I cannot believe that this is even real. Like, people do this. Like, it's shock and awe almost.
For some of us, both sides of like when people snap and you would never expect it from them, and people who you this was absolutely what was going to happen. This like from kindergarten, you could see this was unfolding, and like both of those things seem to be what draw me in.
Yeah.
What interesting.
Anyways, thanks for hearing the update. I mean, I guess because I don't never know who's watching, I kind of gave the background and I gave the update, and yeah, I can't. I tend to think it's not a good look for a representative of your nonprofit to come forward, basically feign as if they're here to help. And then when you say, yeah, I would really like to have a conversation about what the board member of your nonprofit did, and then they block you. Like, after seeing what Fire Mecca did, and all of that, how are you going to come forward? Like, what? I thought at one point during all of this, I think I even said it in one of my videos, like, maybe the owner of Fire Mecca like wants to ruin their company. Like, Now, obviously, that seems insane, but the way that they're behaving is like they actually actively want to like ruin their brand. Like, how could you? I'm like, how could you keep behaving this way? And that's not the outcome that you want. And now we have Jill, a board member of this nonprofit, start to do the same thing. How could you possibly want your nonprofit's brand to like have a good reputation and then do this? It's almost as if Jill has been sitting around thinking, I can't wait for this to end. I'm waiting for the opportunity to destroy the reputation of this nonprofit so I don't have to do it anymore. Like, how? I can't even think of why else would she act this way?
I think it's interesting because when you see these things from the outside, that is what it appears to be. Same with Allie. Same with like, are you planning to destroy your brand, your
Yeah.
reputation?
If
To go out
Allie is
systematically a
Allie
plan? And
sitting around
no,
thinking, I
they
hate
truly
being
can't see. They can't see, and they can't like Jill especially. She's a flying monkey. She's like I understand. There was a criminal record check done. It needed to be done. And she's mimicking what Corinne told her. And when you're like, right, so then could you make this make sense? She can't, because that would deal with cognitive dissonance in her relationship with Corinne and their business partners. Their business relies on them being partners. And like, right. And she's tanking your business and you're tanking it alongside her because you're being like a bad person online and not holding each other responsible and being fly monkeys for each other instead of being whatever their website said, world leaders, being in leadership. And how do we deal with conflict? How do we deal with relationships? How do we actually stand with when something goes awry and correcting it and doing better? It's not what
Runners Without
narcissists
Borders
do.
Arizona is a community leadership program where the board members, when you ask for accountability, will block you. Like, that's the type of leadership that they apparently do. Doesn't look like leadership to me. What kind of program is this? Yeah, so like, yeah, Allie, like, you would almost think that Allie's Allie's some online influencer who's just sick and tired of being an influencer and gonna do everything they can to try to like destroy their reputation so they don't have to do it anymore. Like, you don't have to do all, you can just stop. Like, you don't have to keep destroying your reputation.
Just like the Allie specifically, the manifestation of like both going after spiritual creators and autistic and manifested spiritual autistic Jesus. I just don't call myself Jesus, but you know, I don't know what are those people called? I don't know. Big,
What
huge
people?
spiritual Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and like figures in
Archetype?
religion. But the archetype comes later. What are they called when they're like it's their lifetime?
Oh,
Delusional. Delusional.
yeah, I guess that depends on your take on all of that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thanks for coming up. I'm going to play the Saturnella, whatever it is. We're going to go over December 17th.
Yeah,
And
thanks for the
I might do this.
thanks for the opportunity and thanks for the support, everybody. We'll see what happens.
All right, thanks. Looking forward to the next update. Maybe looking forward to the wrong term, but we're going to finish listening to Allie. And then, like I said, it's from December 12th, but it's about December 17th. And I just took off the stage what I wanted. We have to finish this because completion is important to my brain.
You think that the universe is only going to show you things that match your frequency or that you couldn't possibly attract a horrible man, a horrible covert narcissist. Like, that is where this stuff gets so dangerous. And in fact, you can get into even more dangerous human situations because you are just human. And it happened to me so many times when I was deep into this like self-help new age cult. And there are some really beautiful pieces to it, but there is like, this is the perfect example of how dangerous it gets and how you ignore very basic red flags, like a man completely love bombing you. And like, if she was so in control of her own energy and frequency and was manifesting her own experience, like this wouldn't happen. Right? Like everybody's so shocked, but no, this is just humans. And that's why you have to learn how to protect yourself and learn about your own tendencies and your own trauma and be able to spot cycles of abuse. Because if this man told her within 72 hours that he was in love with her, that's not a cute love story. It's just not. That's actually really, really scary. And if she's so evolved but couldn't, like, and that's also what abuse is. Like, you don't know until you know, especially with a covert person. Um, but that's why I talk about that this stuff with energy and frequency and all this stuff, it doesn't make you a more mature human that makes better decisions. In fact, it can do the opposite. Um, and I feel so sorry for her and my heart breaks for her, but there's so much going on in the spiritual community with Aubrey Marcus. What about Stephen Hilton? Somebody needs to take that man's phone. Oh my God. Anyways, I want to make content about all of that, but this video is for educational purposes only. I am not surprised that the Wizard Liz got
from the beach.
Ah. So Saturnella, let's just let him pronounce it. It happens on, they're gonna say it on December 17th. But the reason we're here is because December 17th is also the Pope's birthday and Autumn's birthday, and the previous Pope, the one who just died. The new Pope's birthday is my brother's birthday. Of course it is.
Saturnalia. Quick summary, Saturnalia was the Roman festival of the god Saturn. It began on December 17th with a mass public sacrifice at the Temple of Saturn, followed by several days of feasting, gambling, drinking, and most notably, the role reversal between slaves and slave owners, a holiday when slaves were encouraged to dine with their slavers, talk back to them, and even make them serve the slaves. But I want to make this video more comprehensive than a simple summary. We know a lot about Saturnalia, but no single Roman source describes the festival in its entirety. So we need to piece together our picture of Saturnalia from different sources. In this video, I'll be citing from these Roman sources. I've put them in roughly chronological order here, and I'll cite them throughout the video. A few notes about our sources. Notice that these guys span 500 years of history. It's pretty naive to assume that Catullus, who was growing up in the 1st century BCE, was celebrating Saturnalia the exact same way that Macrobius was in the 5th century. Even the length of the festival changed throughout its history. In the time of Catullus, it lasted 7 days until December 23rd, but then was shortened to 3 days before the Emperor Caligula extended it to 4 or 5 days. So any summary of Saturnalia is an imperfect reconstruction based on what time period we're talking about, or based on what location we're talking about. Also notice that these dudes are mostly super elite members of society. Yes, Epictetus was a former slave, Lucian was born into a middle-class family, but many of these guys were the 1% of Roman society. So take their perspectives with a healthy dose of skepticism, especially when they're talking about the experiences of their own slaves. But let's get into it. Breaking social norms was the central theme of Saturnalia. In his poem on the holiday, the poet Lucian has Saturn pronounce, "During my week, the serious is barred. No business is allowed. Drinking and being drunk, noise and games of dice, appointing of kings, and feasting of slaves." So you were encouraged to break from your normal social inhibitions, drinking games, dancing naked, and gambling, which was usually forbidden in public. A few of our sources talk about people playing a game called the King of Saturnalia, where a king was chosen by chance who was then allowed to boss you around during the entire festival. Several sources also describe gift giving during Saturnalia, giving gifts like clothes, food, or money, but also crazier gifts like pet birds and puppies, like the Roman poet Martial mentions. But the ultimate example of breaking social norms during the Saturnalia was the role reversal between enslaved people and their enslavers. Remember, Rome was a slave-owning society. Some scholars estimate that anywhere between 10 to 40% of the population were enslaved. Upper-class Romans enslaved anywhere between a handful of people to dozens and dozens of them. Slaves in Roman society did the farming, the cooking and cleaning, the entertainment like music and comedy, but they also had specialized professions like medicine and accounting. Slaves were considered part of the upper-class Romans' familia, which, despite its similarity to the English word family, is probably best translated as household. The male head of the household was called the pater familias, a divinely ordained ruler over his wife and children, as well as his slaves and their children. So, even though Saturnalia had public religious elements like that mass public sacrifice at the Temple of Saturn, at its heart, Saturnalia was a domestic religious holiday specifically designed to upend what was considered the divinely ordained natural order of society. Our sources describe that during Saturnalia, slaves were allowed to dine with their slave owners, boss them around, and even talk back to them without being punished. The historian Justin specifically says that slaves and slave owners reclined together. Reclining was a position associated with elite banqueting, and it appears everywhere in Roman art depicting fancy banquets. This role reversal was the reason for the season as far as the upper-class Roman was concerned. Now, we don't actually know the historical origins of Saturnalia. It may have originated as an agricultural holiday to accompany the winter solstice in late December. But most of our Roman sources say it originated in the mythic past, during a golden age when Saturn ruled Italy as a king and no slavery existed. Justin describes Saturn's reign as a reign of such equality that no one was a slave in his reign or had any private property. Macrobius writes, the period of Saturn's reign is said to have been immensely happy because no one was yet distinguished by servitude or freedom. But it's kind of ironic that they point to a golden age when slavery didn't exist, when the holiday itself probably served to reinforce the institution of slavery. Ancient historians such as Hank Versnell and Fanny Delansky suggest that Saturnalia was a form of social control, a sort of social safety valve to let slaves vent aggression, but also to remind them who truly is in charge. All of this was role play after all, right? There was a limit to how much role reversal was permitted, and some of our sources suggest that slave owners bent the rules all the time. Some would serve their slaves during the holiday but refuse to dine together. Others say that Roman children served the slaves, but not the upper-class adults. And Macrobius says that only religiously observant households participated, and even then the slaves dined first and then the slave owners, not at the same time. And perhaps most tellingly, Seneca basically gives the game away when he mentions that he wouldn't let any slave dine at his table, only the ones that deserve it. Life was not good as a Roman slave. Martial darkly jokes about beating his cook for ruining his meal. Seneca talks about slaves serving their slave owners dinner while they themselves stood by hungry. So this is what I mean by taking our sources with a healthy dose of skepticism. Catullus, who was born into one of the most prominent families in the Roman Empire, called Saturnalia optimo dierum, the best of days. But Epictetus, who himself was a former slave, seems a little more cynical, basically saying, sure, you can call a free man a slave on Saturnalia, but a true master is whoever has the power of bestowing or of taking away any of the things he desires. There was an artificial side to Saturnalia that we can only glimpse because Roman history was not written by the slaves. It was written by the super rich slave owners like Pliny and Seneca. But now I want to turn to the question of Christmas. What relation, if any, did Saturnalia have on the establishment of Christmas? After all, most Christians celebrate it on December 25th. The Romans, on the other hand, celebrated Saturnalia between December 17th and 23rd. And there's some evidence that December 25th, the winter solstice according to the Julian calendar, was marked as the feast and birthday of the sun god Sol Invictus. The dates seem way too convenient to be a coincidence. Well, there are two prevailing and possibly overlapping theories. the Christianization theory and the calculation theory. The Christianization theory goes that Christian authorities picked December 25th specifically to convert a season of pagan holidays into Christian holidays. People already were celebrating in late December, and these cultural habits are too deeply entrenched to change that easily. So let's slap a new Christian name on it. The Christianization theory is certainly possible. Later sources such as Pope Gregory the Great encouraged the Christian authorities to convert pagan temples into churches and pagan holidays into Christian holidays. The problem is when it comes to
Are you a person of faith who struggles with low mood or low self-esteem? What if I told you that anger, yes, anger is key to living a joy?
The problem is when it comes to Christmas, this theory is based on educated conjecture, not direct evidence. No Christian source from the Roman period specifically mentions Christianizing December 25th for the purpose of celebrating Jesus' birth. Only hundreds of years later, in the early 12th century, do we get the first explicit reference to Christianizing December 25th. This comes from a Syriac writer named Dionysius Barsalibi. Plus, the December 25th date for Sol Invictus is based on only one source. It comes from a Christian calendar dating to 354, which makes a passing reference to December 25th being the birthday of Sol Invictus. This is one single source, written decades after when the Sol Invictus birthday was supposedly instituted. Compare this to my earlier list of Saturnalia sources. Bunches and bunches of ancient texts from contemporaries who actually celebrated Saturnalia themselves. These include detailed descriptions of the gifts that were given and the games that were played. We don't have anything approaching that level of detail for the December 25th Sol Invictus festival. That's not to deny that pagans were celebrating on this day. I'm sure that they were. But according to the ancient historian Philip Nothaft, the lack of evidence raises the question whether the birthday of Sol Invictus celebrations on December 25th were really so ancient, widespread, and momentous as to exert a strong influence on Christian communities. So I'd say that it's plausible that there was some religious competition over converting celebrations of December 25th to be specifically Christian celebrations. But the evidence isn't as concrete as many would lead you to believe. Again, educated conjecture, not direct evidence. This leads us to the second prevailing theory, the calculation theory, which hypothesizes that many early Christians believed Jesus was conceived and crucified on the same day, March 25th or April 6th, depending on how you calculate it. Therefore, they dated Jesus' birth to December 25th or January 6th because these dates are exactly 9 months later. I'm drawing a lot of this research from 2 peer-reviewed articles by scholars of early Christianity, which cover the calculation theory pretty thoroughly. So I'd really recommend you read them to get the full picture. Links are in the description below. I cover this in another video too if you want to check it out. This theory may sound a bit weird, but a lot of our Christian sources back it up. A 4th century Christian text called On Solstices and Equinoxes says, "Therefore our Lord was conceived on March 25th, which is the day of the Passion of the Lord and of his conception." The Gospels say nothing about when Jesus was born, but they do mention when he died, on or near the Passover during
March 25th is the date we covered yesterday. Wait, Jubilee Leviticus. Leviticus 25, which has Jubilee in it.
the spring. Christians spent a ton of time trying to calculate the exact date, even though it's probably impossible to figure that out. And 2 dates seem to pop up again and again, March 25th and April 6th. Julius Africanus, a 3rd century Christian historian, seems to have dated Jesus' conception to March 25th. Same with Hippolytus, another Christian chronographer writing around the same time, but other Christians calculated to April 6th. I don't think it's a coincidence that these 2 dates come exactly
And April 6th. April 6th. Okay.
exactly 9 months after the 2 dominant dates that Christians calculated as his crucifixion. January 6th was celebrated mostly in Egypt and Asia, but eventually lost out to December.
Am I delusional? To the 3 dates, just March 25th, April 6th, and now January 6th?
On the same time, but other Christians calculated a 3rd century Christian historian, seems to have dated Jesus' conception to March 25th. Same with Hippolytus, another Christian chronographer writing around the same time, but other Christians calculated it to April 6. I don't think it's a coincidence that these two dates come exactly 9 months after the two dominant dates that Christians calculated as his crucifixion. January 6th was celebrated mostly in Egypt and Asia, but eventually lost out to December 25th in popularity. But even to this day, the Armenian Orthodox Church continues to celebrate on January 6th. I'm convinced by the calculation theory because it explains why two different dates, December 25th and January 6th, became the two dominant dates. The January 6th date seems so much more random without this explanation, because it's nowhere near the Saturnalia or Sol Invictus festivals to blame any attempt to Christianize those holidays. But I do think there may be some overlap between these two theories. Namely, Christians do seem to think equinoxes and solstices were involved somehow with Jesus' birth and death. According to the Roman Julian calendar, December 25th was the winter solstice. According to that same calendar, March 25th was the spring equinox. It's possible that December 25th won out over January 6th because Christians were trying to align Jesus' death and birth with days that were already widely recognized and celebrated as important. In fact, the Sol Invictus festival probably did the same thing. The cult of Sol Invictus was popular among Roman emperors, such as Aurelian, and the ancient historian Gaston Halsberg hypothesizes that the Romans saw this as the sun's birthday because it was one of the most dramatic moments in the sun's course. It makes a lot of sense to put a solar holiday on the shortest day of the year when every following day would be longer and longer. So I would modify the Christianization theory as an attempt to ascribe Christian significance to the winter solstice, rather than an attempt to specifically Christianize Saturnalia or Sol Invictus. Whether you were worshiping Saturn, Sol, or Jesus, though, there was a deeply entrenched habit to celebrate something in late December, and that habit didn't simply die off. Macrobius was writing in the 5th century CE, well into the Christian period when December 25th was becoming the most popular day to celebrate Christmas. So we can reconstruct December in the late Roman Empire as a time of multiple festivals, which possibly involves some level of religious syncretism and competition around the winter solstice. All of my sources, both primary and secondary sources, are in the description below. I invite you to check my research, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
December 17th is 14 days remaining to the end of the year. The new pope is Leo the 14th. Maya's son, Leo, born on January 6th. I only read the first part of this. Pope Paul III is excommunicated by Henry VIII of England. There's a Pope date. It is the Pope's birthday. That's why we're here. Although it's because it came up again. Although I don't remember how. It came up, I believe, in the Wizard Liz stuff. In fact, I'm going to go. I might read this later. I'm just going to scroll through it so it's here on the. Oops. Oh, Wright brothers. And Darwin make the first controlled powered heavier than air flight in the Wright Flyer at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Kurdistan. All right, we're giving a preliminary look through. This is a lot of stuff. Feels like more than normal, but maybe only slightly more. Oh, my coffee's beeping at me. Anti-world trade protest. No, sorry. All right. What are we doing? With something related? I'm looking at the dates on the spreadsheet for December 17th. Is that what we're doing? Sure. Although I don't think I added anything. Kim Jong-2, Simpsons pilot air date, Autumn's birthday. Pope's birthday. Maker of mysterious skin. I have other information there that I don't understand. With a Greg Araki. It's the day Wicked, 1998 movie with Julia Stiles actor. It was a different Wicked. It came in 1998. I thought it was Wicked, with Oz, but no. But it had Julia Stiles. Greg Kelly, outcry name, birthday. Egg Greg Kelly. But I guess they'd had multiple people playing him in that movie. All right. Well, that's one of the ways it came up recently was Greg Kelly, but that was definitely not how it came up in the last few. I believe it came up with Wizard, Liz, and Landon. But I'm not going to remember how, and it's not important. But I'm trying to keep whatever happens between broadcast on one day and broadcast on the next day, including the signs and symbols, including what happens live, without needing to give too much context, because it all makes sense eventually together. We're in the unfolding of it. Thanks for hanging up. Thanks for hanging up. Thanks for hanging out. Coming to the second live stream after the first one ended. The first one is in the description. Thank you, Daniel, for coming up, is what I was trying to say. And we'll see you all likely tomorrow.